yes, you could try for higher office, but you can't just cut the line and because of the privileges come along your surroundings say,
cut the line. That's exactly what's been happening.
But Andy came turning back around and said, well, I'm not going to self-destroy. So the lawsuit still goes on.
Yeah, they tried everything to get him to drop that lawsuit.
Yeah, because a court order then changes things.
Oh, yeah, because
the politicians didn't change the law.
Right.
You go to the courts and that's what happens.
I just find the timing of all of this so interesting because, like you were saying, like this is something people have been fighting for, yourself included, been fighting for decades now. So I feel like this moment is really, I guess, the glass tipping over. All of this work over the years that's been done and all of the candidates that's popped up, do independent racing, understand they can't fight the system on their own. You said the people who are in the system realizing, oh, damn, this system is trying to kill me. Yes, it is.
Hey everyone, my name is Ron Bautista and this is the Change Podcast. We're happy to come back to rolling the tape and having this type of conversations. We're switching up this format a little bit. We have today my brother, the voice of Jersey City, 4KJ. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Good, man. I'm excited to share this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And just start talking about first what's happening in terms of politics, in terms of community. And what we've been able to push for in terms of change and the change that we want to see in the communities, and then also chat a little bit about those people that I've come across that inspire really that change.
All right, let's do it. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy you're back in the podcasting world and all that. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Let's do it.
That's right, man. I'm excited. I think that we can't start a conversation without talking about the U.S. Senate race. And lots of people are paying more attention, especially with Senator Menendez getting gold bars. Jersey, why not?
It's just Jersey.
It's just Jersey.
Regular Jersey politics. Yeah. Like, it's nothing that... Like, that's why I kind of feel like I'm not surprised. Like, even though I've kind of been, like, out of paying attention to politics for a little bit, when I hear the wild stuff, I'm just like, yeah, that's regular. It's just Jersey. That's all.
Yeah, when Trump was trying to take over and just ignore the election results and overthrow the government, basically, my wife was like, oh my God, there's a revolt. And I'm like, that's in Ecuador, we had that like 3 times in 1 year.
Yeah, so. In Jersey, that's a regular Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing.
So it's just like, oh, things happen.
Yeah,
so
that's nothing.
I think we become a bit immune to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that brings apathy on voters, on residents, on just the community overall. And that's a challenge for people who, like us, that we want to see different things happen, better things happen for the community. It's kind of like what it is. Like we can't have nice things. And I think we can. It's just that we bring that apathy in the mix of, things can't change, so I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's Stockholm Syndrome, if I'm using that phrase correctly.
Yeah.
Because it's like we are so used to the madness of our state. Like you said, of course he's under corruption. Of course he's accepting payments from some Saudi Arabian person. Of course this other guy has dirt on this other guy and he's going to use it at his discretion. Like, of course, it's Jersey. But like you were saying, like, we shouldn't be used to that. That's just because we're used to it doesn't make it right. But that is the nature of our state. Like, as democratic as we are as a state, I feel like we might be one of the most corrupt states in the country, honestly.
Yeah, I think because corruption really doesn't see party. Corruption
absolutely.
Doesn't even see, what kind of people are in office. It comes down to the values. And I think that's what has been my challenge in the way that I've been approaching politics. It's funny because people now with the pushback that the machine has gotten because Tammy Murphy, the wife of the governor of New Jersey, tried to throw her hat in the ring, try to take
which should be problem number one.
Yes, I mean when you just like, hey, so Murphy bought off the line when he ran for governor the first time. So he said, why not do the same thing for the U.S. Senate seat?
Right, and I'm more surprised that no one said, hey, You are the wife of the governor. Why are you running?
No, I think I don't care.
I mean, that's true.
It's that is that attitude of that privilege that they are able to do whatever they want because they're in power.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes to show that people got upset. I mean, people are tired of this whole situation, and that's why there was pushback, especially when Andy Kim had already thrown his hat in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He had been doing the work. He had been congressman. He had been like.
He was actually running.
He was actually running. He had actually done the work in terms of elected official, proven his presence in terms of politics in New Jersey, at the U.S. Congress. So, you know, there's a thing about, yes, you could try for higher office, but you can't just cut the line and because of the privileges come along your surroundings say...
Cut the line. That's exactly what's been happening. They've just been skipping along.
I mean... Anthony Romano, the commissioner who I ran against, that was my what I would call out on him is for everything.
He's cutting the line.
He was cutting the line. Mm-hmm. He was cutting the line when everybody was signing up to speak. He would just raise his hand and go up and speak at a city council meeting because he's a commissioner. Mm-hmm. It's that attitude that pisses people off, and I think we have to amplify those voices of it doesn't have to be that way. They should be feeling that pressure, and that's what happened with Tammy Murphy. She felt the pressure, but not only her, but also all the party bosses. And the fact that this revolt that's happened even within the system, within the people who were running in the line, were running with the political party bosses, they noticed that it's not just them. Oh, you know, usually they tell you, wait your turn. It will come. You know, you can run for Congress later on. Just, you know, kiss the ring, do what we tell you to do, and eventually you'll get your turn. And many people this time around said, hey, there's an opportunity. I'm going to go for it. And many of them even asked, can I get the party line? Can I get the party support? And they said no. So they said, screw it. Let's just go anyway. And it's because there have been work done before that. There have been people who have run off the party line, who have just said, hey, I'm not going to look for a godfather, for a party boss to tell me that I have the election guaranteed, and then that means that I'm not worried if I'm going to lose or not. There's people that have said, no, I'm running because I believe in that change, in doing things differently, in not depending and not selling out to party bosses. And that really, you know, I mean, these candidates have come up to me and they said, hey, you know, you ran a pretty good campaign against, you know, off the line.
Shout out to you.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, I missed it by 200 votes.
Yeah.
And
200 people, I don't know what they're doing, but there's no reason 200 people.
Stockholm syndrome. That's what it is. It's just getting used to, like, the idea of, I'm just voting with whatever they tell me to do. So it's an uphill battle, but we were able to prove that concept. And so even people who were following the party like turns and kissing the ring, they said, well, maybe there's another way. And it's not just me. Like, I've also gone and walked the trail of other people who have done the same thing. And it takes a village to make that change. And it takes a village to really get to that point. So my first comment to people who had kissed the ring before and wanted to run off the line and without a party boss is it's not so simple. You have to not just say, now I'm running, you know, without a party boss. It's you have to build your case. People have seen you in a certain light for a while. You have to show, not just with words, because like you said, people don't just believe words.
Right.
You have to show with actions and with time. Right. You need both things. You need time, you need actions, you need to be out there. I mean, people have to be not just in their own comfortable circle. You know, they have to go out in the rest of the district, for example. There's a lot going on, but because there's a congressional race in Hoboken, Jersey City, in District 8, in Hudson County, and part of Elizabeth, that is correlated to that movement across the state with the Senate race of saying, hey, we want to have a choice instead of an anointment in terms of candidates and elections.
Do you think that this change in particular is because so many people have decided to, like, I'm going to go against the machine?
They saw a weakness in the system. They said, the party boss of party bosses, Menendez Sr. He's weak. They're gonna take him down. He's in court. They're not gonna be able to reelect him. So then different people started jumping at the opportunity. They had built a network. They had their donor base, and that's why Andrew Kim ran. That's why Patricia Campos is running as well for U.S. Senate. I don't know if you know about her, and I actually endorsed her after hearing her speak.
I'm not that familiar with her.
Yeah, so and that's what I'm talking about, consistency. So there's different scenarios, right? There's different players. People who have been doing the work, and there's people who have been doing the work, but within the party politics and party bosses system that then started rebelling and saying, you know what, you're right. This system has been unfair for too long. And, you know, it's something that they benefited on for a while now. But now they know that they shouldn't have to give up their self-determination in order to run for office.
Yeah, don't sell your soul.
Don't sell your soul. And like, listen, you had a mayor in West New York that had to give up his seat and say, all right, I'm not going to run for re-election. I'm going to go back to being an assembly person because the former Congressman Sires decided, hey, you know, I want to retire, so I'm just going to go and be mayor again in West New York. That's how the pieces move, and that's how weak these positions are. When it's something that comes easy in terms of, hey, don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back and run a city.
And now it's like, by the way, now I want that back.
Yeah.
And you're going to do what I tell you to do.
Right.
If you want this privilege still. Right. So it's a combination of things. And going back to Patricia Campos, she's a PhD. Okay. So she knows her stuff. But two, she's been consistently fighting for $15 minimum wage in New Jersey. She's been working with the labor movements in New Jersey. She's been pushing for Medicare for all for years. Like, I know her from when I first started doing the work with activists, with Latinas. And when I ran for office, she supported me as well. And even then, she came up to me and said, listen, I'll help you, but I'm still feeling things out. It's a little too early for me. I'm still trying to realize it. She was gonna have she had an event at the Brightside Tavern in Jersey City a couple of weeks. Shout out to Brightside. And I went there and I heard her speak, and she knew I don't give out endorsements easily.
You don't.
I don't.
You don't.
I've been asking. I'm like, listen, I believe in reciprocity.
Yeah,
I believe in there's a path, and you know it's worse than a letter of recommendation because that means you put your neck out there.
If someone gets a letter of recommendation for you, they have to pass a rigorous test.
Yeah.
So if you're like endorsing her, I know she's solid.
Yeah. No, and so after I heard her speak, besides all the interactions I had with her in the past, I just came up to her at the stage right after and I said, "Listen, let's take a picture now because I want to endorse right now." And she was legit, like sincerely happy. And that's what we want. We want authenticity from our representatives and from people who are running for office. It's not just like, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, sure. Another check in the box. It's like, no, like this is big, you know, and I did. And I think, and now many people told her not to run. Why are you going to run? You're a little too late, because she announced after Tammy Murphy announced. She said, listen, as an everyday person, I had a job. I had to have everything lined up before I made this big decision of running a statewide campaign. And so she said, but I'm still doing it because I made the decision. I lined up everything up. And many people that had originally told her, yes, I'm going to support you, said, let me fill it out. And some people were saying she should drop out because she was going to help Tammy Murphy and take votes away from Kim. Things that I've heard of myself is like, why are you doing this? Just, go to the side, don't do anything. It's always the same thing. What happens? There's so much pressure. Andy Kim did, together with other two plaintiffs, decided to go to the courts and say that the way that the ballot is designed is unconstitutional. Something that we've been talking about for years. Not just me, but when I say we, is because there's a lot of people next to me and that have done this work for years, even before I got involved. And so because he was doing that, he was getting delegates from the committee, from the Democratic committees from each one of the counties supporting him. It's just that the party bosses started seeing the system crumble. And they said, maybe our last Hail Mary is going to be to say, hey, never mind. Tammy Murphy's not going to get anointed. We'll give you the line, Andy Kim. And they're going to give Andy Kim the party line in 17 of the 19 counties. But Andy Kim's turned back around and said, well, I'm not going to self-destroy. So the lawsuit still goes on.
Yeah, they tried everything to get him to drop that lawsuit.
Yeah, because a court order then changes things.
Oh, yeah, because
the politicians didn't change the law.
Right.
You go to the courts, and that's what happens.
I mean, well, I think that I just find the timing of all of this so interesting because, like you were saying, like this is something people have been fighting for, yourself included, have been fighting for decades now. So I feel like this moment is really, I guess, the glass tipping over, or filling up, or whatever the correct phrase is. That all of this work over the years that's been done, and all of the candidates that's popped up do independent racing, understand they can't fight the system on their own. Like you said, the people who are in the system realizing, oh, damn, this system is trying to kill me. Yes, it is. So come join us. You got all these people together, and everyone is like, all right, enough is enough now. And I do think with Tammy really saying, no, I'm going to run, and everyone knowing, like, look, we're not really feeling your husband like that right now. His policies are a little shaky. And then you're running under this machine that we already don't like. Like, no, we're going to do something. So I feel like Kim going to the courts was really like, y'all won't do it. We can't trust anything that y'all say. Y'all keep saying we're going to change the law. We're going to do this. I'm going to go above your head. Mm-hmm. And I think Kim doing that is really, like you said, the party boss is already shaking up about it now. But if this lawsuit goes, and we spoke about this before, but like if this lawsuit goes his way, all of this is different now. This entire landscape looks different. And like you said, that Hail Mary was they're trying to avoid that. Because I really do feel like the party bosses and the high up knows, the judge knows this is unconstitutional. We know this is unconstitutional, but it's been in our favor since forever. So it would go against what we need if we let this guy continue with this lawsuit. So yeah, we'll give you the party line. What do you need? You want a Mercedes? You want a bunch of people at your parties? Whatever you need, we'll give it to you. Because I feel like they know this judge or whoever the judge is will be like, no, that he's right and he has facts to support it. And I just feel like it's the timing is impeccable, and I'm excited to see where this goes because it's like, everything's crumbling. What are you going to do when the world's crumbling?
Run for office again.
Run for office again. That's a wild part.
No, and that's so. In a world, no matter without Tammy Murphy running for Senate, now everything shifted, and now the conversation is different with Patricia Campos, because all the people that were saying, "Oh, you're gonna ruin it for Andy Kim," now it's like, well, now there's no Tammy Murphy, so what are we afraid of? Yeah. Now is the time that we can talk about
what are you going to say? Yeah, what can you say now? Because the biggest thing the biggest obstacle, air quotes, was Tammy Murphy. She's no longer here. So now what?
Now it's a one-on-one.
Now it's a one-on-one. So
it is funny how now some politicals are saying, "Well, that's it. We're gonna rally up behind Andy Kim. He's the nominee." I was like, wait a second. Because why? Because now they're saying, well, we prefer Andy Kim. That somebody's going to really shake up the system, like Patricia Campos.
Yeah, because Patricia, of course, they don't want. It's always like they don't want anybody too radical. Mm. Like if you want too much change, if you want people to do too well, like I can't give y'all affordable housing. I can't give y'all affordable housing, a livable wage. And you want me to give you free healthcare? Like, you got to pick one. Yeah. You got to pick one. So if Andy is going to at least pick one, or he's more malleable to be like, all right, I could focus on one and ignore the others, I think they would prefer that versus someone who's like, I'm working with the labor unions. Y'all going to give us $15 in minimum wage. Like, that's too radical. That's too much.
And what's great about it, too, is Medicare for all is not something that the voters consider radical, right? It's something that, I mean, listen, if you got in a medical bill, if you try to get an appointment with a dentist, this is something that goes beyond party lines, and it just is something that affects most of us, if not all of us.
It does, but they're getting paid off of it. So I can't have you messing up my check.
The politicians, yeah.
The politicians, that's why they don't want this stuff, because you're messing up my money.
Yeah, and that's why they rearrange this ballots a certain way, because they want to make sure that any opposition, anybody that's not selected by the main bosses is there or not. And so, I think that's the beauty of where the process is right now. What happens if the party line in the ballot becomes unconstitutional and they no longer use it? My prediction is going to be that many people who are elected officials right now will run again and then realize, I haven't really ran for office before. I had it way too easy. I was just relying on the party boss to hand me the votes.
You think the floodgates are open?
Floodgates are open. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges within their own people who were, hey, listen, there's an assemblyman that's going to want to run for Senate, and then another assemblyman that's also want to run for Senate. I think at the beginning it's going to be a free for all, and we're going to be able to see who the real strong political leaders are. Because listen, even party bosses, they have a voter base.
Right.
Brian Stacks of the world,
of course,
Bill Dea. They have their own small machine. And they have been able to nurture a very specific group of voters that they turn out every year, and they've been building that muscle all this time because that has helped them build leverage. But the majority of candidates, they don't have that.
So it doesn't make it such a requirement, I guess, to have such a you can build your base easier. How I'm looking at it is because you're not beholden to these things that you needed before. Like, if all this goes away, it's like, I don't necessarily need the money. I don't need to kiss the ring of certain people. I can actually build my base off of what I want to do instead of who I need to please and appease.
And it takes longer, right? I mean, that's what, things that I've been talking about years ago. The people are like, you talked about this back then.
But change is slow, though.
Yeah, but it's about seeing the long game while also helping in the short term. So even right now, I'm doing constituent services in between. People reach out to me, it's like, hey, you talked about these issues. And I always tell them, I never say, I helped somebody this way. Because I can't do things alone. It takes a village. Right. And so that's why I reach out to people who are doing the work. It's me getting to know people, me getting to meet people over coffee, having a conversation. What's your focus? Because there's so many issues out there. There's so many needs out there. And there's so many people who are passionate about these issues that are really specializing on that. It's not possible to be a specialist in everything. So my role, the way that I see it in my volunteering, in my community work, in my political work is making sure I keep my ear to the ground, knowing who my allies are in terms of that change that we want to see in our communities and that how we benefit communities for all peoples, all ages, all incomes, all abilities. And then we build from there. And along the way, we're going to see who's for real and who's not, who, says maybe they are for everyday people, but then their actions say differently. You have to find out on the go, but it's always about those benefits right now, and then fight for the benefits that are in the future.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I'm because change is slow, and because the things that you have been talking about do take what it feels like forever sometimes to get to even have a conversation about, and now that things seem to happen so quickly, as far as everyone is, had so much to say about Tammy running to the point where she dropped out because she received so much criticism. I don't remember a time where a New Jersey politician received so much criticism that they stepped down from doing something. They might have said it like my bad, but I'm going to go to work the next day. But it's never been
Like Amy the G's.
Yeah. We ain't forget about you, Amy. But it's never been, not that I can remember, it never been a time where it's like, okay, the public pressure is too strong. Let me go do something else. So I think that signifies that something that changes actually might be, possibly, hopefully. I'm not trying to put too much on it, but closer than we think. If this can happen like this,
and again, it comes step by step, but it's always important to show the wins,
right,
and show what's happening at that moment, and shout out to the tenants that are organizing, that are looking out for each other, right, for tenant rights, and we'll talk more about that in other episodes as well. But I did want to also go over some of the people who are really reflecting that change that we want to see in our communities. One of those people is Aaron Lewitt. He was a Hoboken resident, passed away recently. And I mentioned to you off camera is I had seen him in the community for a while, but I actually got to sit down and have a conversation with him. I always like to learn from people who know their stuff. And his stuff was nonprofit apartment units. And you've heard me about, thinking about that and redevelopment plans so that way we can provide, really apartment units that are modern, that are high quality for everyday people, right, that need it, especially in neighborhoods like Hoboken, for example, that is so out of reach for most people, right, and especially with the increase in rents. And what I got to discuss with him was, just bouncing off ideas, things that I was really pushing for in my platform. He liked them. He was supportive. He told me about those, because he was, and the level of activity he had over the years. He was in the board for the Hoboken Housing Authority. He got the redevelopment plan passed for the Housing Authority. So the Housing Authority, the projects in Hoboken, now they're going to build new buildings in that site, so that way people are able to have better quality buildings and better quality homes. And not only that, but he was also on the board of the Hoboken Community Center that already provides nonprofit apartment units for people in need. He was active in the pantry. He was active with his neighbors. He grew tomatoes in his rooftop.
The kids would say he's outside.
He's outside.
He's outside.
He's outside. And it really crushed me when I saw the tweet from one of the nonprofits that he was active with, the Fund for a Better Waterfront, for a public waterfront in Hoboken. They called out all his service, and also they mentioned that he had been diagnosed with ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease that my dad had. And they were going to celebrate his birthday at the church that was across the street from where he lives. I was like, oh man, I'm heartbroken because I've seen what that disease does to someone you love. I was ready to go for the birthday celebration to go and see him. And then a week before the celebration, he passes away. And then that birthday celebration turned into a life celebration. And that church was full, and it was full of people that his activism, his community work had touched, his friendship had touched. And, many times people tell you, have told me, you need to separate both things. One thing is the guy that does the politics. Another thing, even on social media, is like you have to separate things. Like, no, I am the same person. I show up on a political event, on a community event, on a family event.
Duality.
And so, and that's what he did. That's what I also see in my relationships with people is, if I know you and I like you, you're my friend. You're my brother. You're my sister. And I try to emphasize that. Winnie, my wife, she always makes fun of me. She's like, what do you mean you're a friend? I'm like, yeah, it's my friend too. So
you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah. I'm like, they're my friends.
You gotta be careful.
So I'm like, no, like so that's the way I involve, and I saw that in him. And I just wanted to give a shout out to his work, his legacy, and that his legacy lives on. and really inspires us all to know that the change is not something that we see as a final work. The change is something that we build throughout, and that we see micro and macro changes along the way. And that's what I saw in his pathway and in his celebration of life that time.
Yeah, yeah. My condolences to him and his family. I wasn't aware of him, but I think it's always a testament to someone's character, like who shows up when you're not here anymore. So the fact that you're saying people like were his celebration was jam packed is a testament to who he was and what he did. Because it goes a much longer way when people can be like, hey, he helped me with this, or he helped me with that, or I saw him here, or he was always like, I often think about like, what are people your legacy is what I'm getting to. Like, what do you want your legacy to be? And like people like that who are embedded in their communities and dedicate their entire lives to bettering their communities, like those are special people. And those people spark the change because they just give their lives to the work.
Yeah, man.
Don't care really about recognition. They don't really care about, I guess, the things that most people fall victim to, whether it's like greed or fame or anything like that. Like, he's just doing the work and he just wants things to be better. He wants things to change. So shout out to him. RIP to him. I'm sorry I didn't get. I'm kind of mad I didn't get to meet him, because now he just sounds like the type of person that could have helped me with something.
Yeah. No, so. and that's the thing too. I told people there, I was like, listen, I got to have a full conversation with him once, and I wish, and I told him, I was like, when the time comes, I got to go help you out with the tomatoes, because I'm all about gardening, and I just was very excited for that, and so hopefully I get to help his family with that in the coming days, and the second person really that came to mind because of that situation was my dad. You know, as a person who influences that change and who inspires me in that change. He also had ALS, one of the strongest persons I've met physically, and you know, we were undocumented when you know we came from Ecuador in 1999. He passed away in 2008. And I was only 22, but when he got sick, he wasn't able to work. I mean, he had a degree from Ecuador. He had worked in companies, and when he came here, he had to work with whatever he had available. So he worked in cleaning business, with cleaning homes with my mom. And when he got sick, I had to pick that up. So I was cleaning homes with my mom. And something that he would tell me was like, listen, we're vulnerable because of our immigration status. That means you have to be under the radar. That means you can't look like you are cleaning homes. So you don't want to get profiled. Like, imagine like that's something that your dad has to prepare you with. I mean, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm black, man.
Yeah. I know. Listen, I always tell people it's like, it's not to compare, it's to relate.
No.
I'm messing with you. I know. And so when he said that, it was, all right, you had to wear your button up, you know, you had to dress this way. And that just triggered the conversation that's happening right now in Hoboken with delivery workers on e-bikes. Now, there's a true complaint of, you know, delivery workers riding their e-bikes on the sidewalk. And I've been a pedestrian safety advocate since 2016, so I've been around. And I know what the solutions are, and I've been pushing it, like protected bike lanes, so that way, you know, statistically they've shown that up to 84% of reduction on sidewalk riding when they do that. So my issue comes when this law that they just passed, that the mayor just signed, that the city council just passed. First of all, it's only for e-delivery workers, e-bike delivery workers. These are workers who are not really employees of the companies, and that also are forced because if not, they get penalties. They don't deliver in time. They don't deliver soon enough. So they have to go quickly. So that means they have to do shortcuts. And shortcuts leads to unsafe conditions, not just for the people on the road, but also for the riders themselves. But also that most of them are also immigrants. They speak different languages. I did a walkthrough with the workers' rights group in Hoboken. I did a walkthrough. We had a conversation. We had somebody that spoke French that was able to speak French with the delivery workers that spoke that language. We got to speak to the ones that would speak Spanish. But also there's the profiling issue. It's like, who are the, basically the law is, we're going to make sure that people wear a vest with a number. And if they don't, then we'll give them a $50 ticket. But the big issue with that is they said you need that vest in order, because you can't ticket them right now, which is a lie. They've already gotten ticketed. So we need a vest to ticket them. And in order to make them wear the vest, we're going to ticket them. So I said, wait, so there is no enforceability. Even law enforcement in Hoboken says, this is unenforceable. We cannot do this work. And so that's what the big issue is, politicians gaslighting people.
Normal stuff.
Yeah. Gaslighting people, then throwing both pedestrians and law enforcement under the bus, and then not really bringing up the solutions that actually fix the problem. And then it's actually people who are double parking, they're part of a broken system. People who are riding the bikes on the sidewalk, they're part of a broken system. And so we have to address that system. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, and it's not something that will be done quickly. But if we don't, then we expose people who are vulnerable, and I can't have that. So that's why I've been pushing back on that end.
I believe you. I believe you. I don't. Registering people just always feels weird to me. Because that phrase has been a part of a lot of I can't think of the word, just bad behavior. I was trying to think of something stronger and I blanked out. But it's especially come on, we know these people are immigrants. We know this. But you want your tacos, don't you? So you want the convenience. You don't want to do it yourself because obviously you don't want to leave the house to get your food delivered. But now you're trying to penalize the people who are willing to deliver your food in the rain at 3 a.m. You can't have it both ways. So it's of course, we want the streets safe. We want the pedestrians safe. Yeah, we can do that. But you're trying to enforce. You're trying to get them wrapped up into a system you know that they're not a part of. You know they're undocumented. You know they're not U.S. citizens. Why are you making things harder for people who are doing things that you don't want to do? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But I do agree that there needs to be some level of safety because you are riding a motorized vehicle in a very densely populated city. Hoboken is not that big. The streets are not that big. There's cars everywhere. So if you do something wild, you're going to hurt somebody. So, of course, there needs to be some safety measures because, again, y'all are undocumented. Y'all don't understand the rules of American roads and how someone might do something to you if you run over their baby. So it needs to be compromises on both ends. I just feel like this, I guess I don't want to say shout out to the police because no, but it's good that they said it's enforceable because how? What are you going to do? How are you going to force these people to wear something, to wear a vest or register within your system? And they're afraid to put their names down anywhere.
And the fact that when we asked them, so what system are they going to use? The council members didn't know what the hell they were going to use. And one of them even said, that is not my job. I said, no, sir, that is your job.
That's exactly it. What are you saying?
Smoke mirrors, man. But anyway. All right. BS, that's what it is.
BS. BS.
And the third person, just also to wrap up the conversation, I want to give a big shout out to Lali Moya. She was one. So I got brought back to the Ecuadorian Youth Organization. I started my work experience with them, just volunteering. And it's an education organization in New York. And we just launched a Google partnership that provides Google career certificates to we got 500 slots.
Nice.
just for Ecuadorians that are living in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And so we did a partnership with Google, and then we got the Ecuadorian consulate as our partner, as a community partner. So we can do some workshops and so in-person events at the consulate. So the consulate said, hey, can you launch this and come to the event that the president of Ecuador is coming to Queens? And you can talk about in the stage with him what this program entails and how you're helping the community.
Met the president.
So I met the president of Ecuador in March.
I'm sorry. Look, for those of you who are watching, who are listening, Ron will casually drop these things in our conversation like it's not a big deal. Like, you met the president of Ecuador, bro. Like, come on. Like, that's a big deal. You out here getting... And fun fact, I didn't know New Jersey was, like, one of the biggest Ecuadorian populations in the country. I think we're like number 2. I forgot who number 1 is, but you have all these Ecuadorians here, so yeah, why not have something that can help provide them a better future? But that was great. I just feel like you need to stop casually dropping these bombs in conversations like this. Like, oh, I just met the president of Ecuador. Like, that's something regular. Like, no, nobody meets the president of a country in Queens on a random work day. Like,
and I appreciate that. Culturally, we're always told to be like, don't gloat.
No, I'm not saying gloat.
But I appreciate. No, I'm saying that's why I drop it casually, because I'm like, I don't know how else to drop. And so
if I met the president of Chile, I'm telling everybody, like, you crazy? What? That's still dope.
Yeah. No, and so it was a really cool experience. He's 36 years old. He actually, and I called that out in my presentation. I said, hey, so I actually did the same master's program you did. And he actually, when he got elected last year, he hired one of our professors from the George Washington University to be his secretary of communications. So I said, we share the same professor, just different years that we did the program.
So you're like 1 degree away separation from the president of Ecuador.
Yeah, although I do not want that job though. Things are rough down there.
You got the wildest connections I've ever heard in my life. I just want you to know that. They're great connections, but the people you are connected to is I am never not impressed.
Yeah, no, and that's when you. Some people wonder why you do the community work, why you're out there, why you're helping people, and you feel like you're having an impact.
Right.
But 2, you meet a lot of wild people.
This is true.
You get a lot of wild connections, and then it just piles up and expands, and you get more resources and more things that can impact the community. So. Like 60% of the Ecuadorian population in the U.S. Live in New York and New Jersey. We're here, and so back to Lali Moya is like, she inspires me because she was one of the first recipients of that scholarship. She's just graduating high school right now, and she's already going to do that certificate program. It's an online program. It's through Coursera. It was designed by Google. Google actually has then a consortium of 150 companies that will consider for entry-level positions applicants who have those certificates. Any certificates of cybersecurity, program management, analytics, UX design, and so it's professions that are in demand, and it's just our way to give back to the community. It's our way to leverage the resources and the connections that we've built over the years. Because it's funny, that organization was started by students, so 501c3, all the works, and started by giving $1,000 scholarships to 5 students every year. Now we're gonna do a new batch of students next week, actually. That's separate. That's another type of scholarship program. And so those people who over the years were students, that became professionals, then got connections, then build it out. Now we come back and say, yeah, actually, now I have a different lens. Now I have a different way of working with people. Now I have different connections. Now I know different things that other people can benefit from. And there's a lot of talk against immigrants and against the new wave of immigrants, and like there's an invasion going on. And I call bullshit on the invasion remark because that's something used for fear mongering.
Yeah.
And even bipartisan, the Congressional Budget Office, they said, well, even with this big influx of immigrants, we still benefit from the economics of things. They come, they got to find work. If they can't find work, they're going to build work. They're going to make a business. They're going to start something. Money's going to start flowing. Because you come here, most people come here for a better life. So they're going to put the effort on it, especially when you have the tools that, society has built. And we all benefit from those, from that build.
Absolutely. I mean, well, I think how you say her name again? I don't want to mess up her name.
Which one? The name?
Yeah.
Lali Moya.
Lali Moya. And how old is she?
She's graduating high school now.
So she's starting to change early. So, and she's getting the benefit of having, I guess, a head start. So, when she gets to her position and she's secure, she can pull the next person up.
But imagine the impact of that before she even goes to college, she can get a job that can get her an income that gets her to that next level. We're breaking the. I used to think of, it would be great if high school students, when they're in their sophomore year, they start taking courses so that they can have their associate's degree. But education has shifted so much that a certificate like this already has that impact. It's like I can start, having clients right now, and that's going to help me pay for college, or maybe I don't go to college, and then maybe I just build up my career this way. Different avenues is about providing those resources to people, especially things that are available and are free but have lots of value and lots of impact. And it's by engaging those parents, by making sure that people know this is not just an easy sign up. We need you to be responsible about this because you're taking a slot that somebody else could have taken. And I said, we had 500 slots. Within the announcement, in 7 days, we got 700 applicants. We have a waiting list.
You're supposed to only have, 500 spots open?
500 spots open.
700.
So now what we're working on is making sure that they feel supported, because you need to engage those students because it's online courses, right? So that they start supporting each other as well, and motivating each other to complete the course, and then what happens afterwards, and then having workshops for them after that too that are unrelated to that, but it's maybe how to get a job in that field. And then by showing those success stories, we can go back to Google and said, hey, we already went through the 500 slots. Can you give me 500 more? And then we able to show that impact, and then that can channel into other programs, like amplifying the Ecuadorian Scholars Fund, the one that it's monetary scholarship for 5 students. And so, and that scholarship, the Ecuadorian Scholars Fund, that has been going on for a few years now. What I've heard from the students was like, listen, many people may think that $1,000 is not that much, but it's the recognition from within the community. I said it in the talk with the president. I said, listen, this is our way of, our community needs self-love. Needs to be able to learn to love itself. We're the hardest critics amongst ourselves. When an Ecuadorian did something wrong, now we're like, Ecuadorians are this way. And that happens with all communities. Sure. And it's about scaling it back. And it's like, no, it's not because he's Ecuadorian. It's because he's a person who committed something wrong. And then we have to make sure that we show that love to the community, of saying community support is about supporting each other and lifting each other up. And that's something that we wanted to reflect in those type of programs. And again, shout out to Lali Moya for going through that and starting her process.
Listen, man, I'm part Ecuadorian sometimes, so yeah, shout out.
We gotta go to Ecuadorian restaurant one of these days. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, that's great though, man. That's great that the program is moving in that direction. You're just providing so many. Well, not you specifically, you know what I mean, but the program is providing such opportunities for young kids, because just the way the country is now, we need kids to get that help early, because the way that education is moving is damn near a trap that I don't want to really get into, because that's a lot to unpack. But the kids need help in succeeding in this country at this moment. So the fact that they're offering a program, that there is coursework, that you're actually putting in the follow through and not just saying, hey, go be who all you can be, and I'll see you in 30 years when you're ready for your pension. It's just like I'm setting you up so you can succeed. And then we don't have a lot of that in the country currently, especially for our kids. So I'm salute to the program, because the kids need it. Every community needs it. But I'm glad that you're actually putting in the work. So good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm appreciative of the whole team. I was, even at that event, I gave a shout out to the board of directors, the team that makes it happen, and yeah, man, it's just a call out to make sure you find your community. That's what I'm always doing. I'm trying to find my groups of communities that we have certain beliefs that we agree on, that we want to fight for, and that we want to make sure that we see reflected in the lives that we live. And so in that search, we find great people, and that's what we're going to be sharing in this podcast too. Not just what's happening so far and the impact that we're doing, but also shout out to the people who are inspiring us every day to keep the work going. So thank you so much, brother.
Of course.
And make sure everyone to tune in. We're going to be doing this monthly. And you can find our episodes at ronbautistanj.com/thechange for past episodes and new episodes. Looking forward to continuing that conversation. And if you want to meet over coffee, chat, and just dive into this type of work, let me know. Shoot me a message. I'm on all social media platforms as Ron Bautista NJ.